Your company. We are joined now by the current president of the Federation of FUFA, before I get it wrong there, Engineer Moses Magogo. And this is him, the game, past, present, and future. I guess his plans are in here. It's quite a great book. And yes, good evening. Yeah, it's very good, very well.
Good.
And the picture?
And the picture, and the person behind.
No, actually, I like the cover. Only I also like the name. It almost sounded like the Game of Life.
Game of Life.
Yeah.
Differences in colors, isn't it?
Maybe we need to give credit to the person who designed that.
Yeah. The book cover. I have seen Mr. Ahmed Hussein name,
no.
So I don't know if he is.
I don't think his proficiency is designing the cover. And design, no.
Maybe he edited the cover.
Well, anyway, joining us is Engineer Magogo, who was recently elected. He's now the longest-serving FUFA president. Welcome to NTV Sport Knights.
Thank you, and good evening to our viewers.
Thank you for making time in your busy calendar. We are told you are traveling right after the show. But I was listening to one of your earlier interviews, and you talked about the time you put yourself forward. The very first time you were a bit reluctant because Lawrence Mulindwa left, kind of did not put himself forward. But you were reluctant then, but you don't seem to be reluctant now. This is as the longest serving president. What do you have to say about the chair?
Well, it's a duty, a call to duty, but to me it is the passion.
It's the passion.
People don't look at, people did not look at the person in 2013. Even myself, I didn't look at myself. But when you go back and look at the person, what had accumulated inside me by 2013, probably it was the best decision for football. And time has vindicated us. After
12 years, I think the one question that keeps coming up is how free and fair are these elections, especially the fact that you are unopposed in a country of I don't know how many million Ugandans, 45 million Ugandans. And
you see, it's the nature of what you can call the football governance or football politics world over. People miss the point. The point is that these elections are not like the mayor race or the member of parliament race, because it is a closed group of people who vote and get voted. To start with, it's by design and it's world over.
Yes, that's also a bit...
yeah, but it is the practice world over. And when people look at me being unopposed, they don't look at currently as we speak, all the 6 presidents of the 6 confederations, they are all unopposed. The FIFA president is unopposed. Very many federations across the world, they are unopposed. It's just the nature of the way the football politics is designed. You know, it is not designed for everybody who has a say or every stakeholder. There are those internal stakeholders who take the decision. And when you get inside the federation, if you get inside the stakeholders, they have totally different views. And maybe they look at the game totally differently from what a fan on the street or any other stakeholder might be looking at.
Ordinarily, every elected position should be about a contestation of ideas. How come in football it isn't?
Well, at the end of the day, football is basic. The people in football love their sport. They know what they want. And the day there is a president that is not living up the expectations, the change comes. You're not going to force it. It will automatically come. We were at CAF. How did we get President Isayatu after 28 years out? It reached a time that time you have to go. If it reaches a time for me that I'm no longer serving the voters, it's very easy for them. You know, you can buy anything, but you cannot buy passion. People forget that football, the people in football, it's a passion. The ones putting in the money, the ones playing it, the ones coaching it, and passion has no price. So at the end of the day, you can't buy passion. If you're not right, you're not right.
President, what about those who say it's about the stringent rules that, you know, you've had this debate before, but people say you've created a bit of a shield around yourself with the electoral code, with the rules. It's actually harder to become FUFA president than to become a member of parliament. I walk out of with my senior 6 transcript from Chitovu, and tomorrow I'm on the ballot.
But the skill sets required are different. To be a president of a federation and to be a member of parliament, the skill sets required are different. But also to be more specific, it's not true
that you ring-fence the position.
First of all, the regulations that brought me into office were more stringent than the regulations today. What we have done in my presidency is actually to lower some of the requirements. I'm being accused for making the rules stringent, but I should also take my flowers for making the rules actually less stringent. In the past, it was 7 out of 10 years.
Yeah.
Right now, it is 3 out of 8 years. Isn't that making it easier? So I should take my flowers. The ones who are criticizing me that I've made the rules, they should also give me the flowers that have made them simpler. And two, it's not true that there are no people who qualify. There are very many people who qualify. Just being a chairman of the club for 3 years out of the last 8 years, and very many chairmen of the clubs in the Premier League have been around for this time. They qualify to stand. So being a chairman of a region, there are 34 members of FUFA. And they have had leaders over the last 8 years even changing. So the whole thing is that you're not just going to be the Pope coming from anywhere.
Yeah.
For us it is the game, and there are good things. If you want to be a president of football, prepare yourself, arrange yourself, and football will pick you up. Come, if you are from outside, belong to a club, let's take a bit of your money, let's take a bit of your ideas and your time, and then you qualify. You can't just walk from a street and then say, I want to be president. No.
Yeah, President, you have cited passion as one of the main reasons why you keep coming each time. Are you telling us that there are no other passionate Ugandans?
I cannot answer for myself. That question should go to the others, not to me, sincerely. But I believe that in addition to passion, I've also demonstrated. I'm tested, I'm tried. You take it or leave it. Even the people who didn't believe, there has been a lot that has turned around the game. So the people who vote feel it.
And you know, I remember this is our first interview with you in a year. The last time you were here, you finished a show and accused us of not discussing the game. You said you were involved in all these things to do with the politics, and you even made...
It must have been very deep that you remember it.
Yeah, I remember it. You even called Andrew Rusty at the time, you know?
I don't know. I've not listened to Andrew in a long time. I'm listening. I'll make another judgment at the end of the show.
It is no longer Rusty. Now, that book that Mebo is holding entails your entire vision. Can you just, let's first start with a summary. The title says the game, the past, the present, and future. Can you just summarize what that means before we go to what you want to do?
Well, the book talks about where we are coming from. Talks about the person. But I've also done a self-evaluation of myself. Like I said, I also didn't believe in myself in 2013. But I've done a self-evaluation and I said, wait a minute. I think this was the right choice. Combining my experience that at that time, I think I was just 36 years, but I'd been through so much, from the corporate world, from the training myself as an engineer, from playing football itself, from administering it at a lower level, from FIFA administration training, working with some of the best corporate institutions you can talk about. So I didn't know I'd been cooked to be ready. So when I took over, definitely the game has benefited from this. I've given this game time. You can't take that away at the expense of my professional and private life. You know, I've gotten expertise. Take it or leave it. I've gotten the experience. Take it or leave it. And at the end of the day, there's also self-discipline. People don't talk about it. When you are superintending an institution that is operating a 40 billion budget, and
you don't look like 40 billion.
No, the institution is a 40 billion turnover, but you have not heard of cases of financial discipline, which is very easy. I mean, you're controlling this money, your decision is almost final. Yes, you get approvals here and there, but I mean, being the president, you have a huge say on the direction. But there are good things that have come out that are very visible out of this resource that we are talking about.
Mr. President, these people didn't congratulate you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And thank
Is
you
that
so
coming from a good place?
I mean,
It doesn't matter where it's coming from.
a fourth straight term. I'll first give you your flowers. Your flowers, of course. A few things that have gone right at FUFA, which I can name off my fingertips. The return of the Cranes, third time now at AFCON. The underage teams, the Cubs, World Cup, the under-20 final,
Women's
the
football.
women's football.
Even FUFA, the building. Andrew, you and I have been in the newsroom around the same time.
I'm not sure about the building. I'll talk about a sense of corporate governance at FUFA.
Yeah.
Building, if there's money, you can build it. The sense of corporate governance, I mean, kudos. When you go to FUFA, you feel this is a company.
There was a time when that place looked like a dungeon, eh?
Yeah.
It needed paint, you look at the floor,
so on
it was
that,
peeling. Yeah.
well done. In terms of the elections, I think the process is symptomatic of the Ugandan general election. The last time there was a competitive election at FUFA, 2001, is the same year term limits were lifted in Uganda.
No, they were lifted in 2005.
I mean, the last election we had,
Okay.
2001, it's the last election we had term limits.
Sure.
And 2005, the death started, and it's now a forever constitutional crisis. Since then, of course, Mulindwa comes in. 2005, also unopposed. 2009,
Unopposed.
then you come in as well. 2013, unopposed. Throughout. End of this term, it will be 16 years. 16 years. But the whole point for me is not that the election wasn't happening. It's like Ismail said earlier, there's no competition of ideas, you know, like debate things, and there's civility, and at the end of the day people choose, not going for general assemblies where it's a ceremony. You know, you've won, speech, next. Maybe the question we need to answer for viewers is, why always you? Do you lock people out? Do you imprison people?
Do you have a drone?
Yeah, or people lack passion. So if we could just maybe go through like what you and I might know. One, a club chairman, or if you're already an executive member of FUFA. And then two, you use A-level certificate or an equivalent. And then, of course, you have to have the Pharmaco 2 course. Whether did you do it, Mr. President? Yes, you did.
Yes,
I think you were the pioneers.
Yes, I did.
Yes. So that, and Pharmaco is exclusive only to FUFA. They are the only ones who offer it. So if you do not go there, that's already an X.
Soon member will be eligible.
Yes, I did
Remember,
Pharmaco
you have-
1.
you have
I'm
one
a
more to
graduate
go.
of Pharmaco 1.
You and was, I
As
think,
I
was
think it
second.
is exclusive to FUFA
to do
get
it.
or to give.
No. Only FUFA can give it to you.
Okay.
That's what I mean, yes. And then you've got to also present your full list of an executive and then pay 10 million non-refundable fee. Now, after that, you've got to get signatories, of course, from UPL, from
Special interest group.
groups, and then the regional FAs. And then those are letters that you get each separately. And then on top of that, these special interest groups and regional FAs are mainly, you know, there are facts that you get this from that, but then we have to come back and look at it logically. All these are either directly or indirectly facilitated or funded by FUFA. Regional FAs, you'll correct me, each gets 1 million stipend from FUFA. The delegates, delegates. Delegates, that's 88 million of the 88 delegates. And then you also, the regional FAs are funded as well, and their leaders perhaps have a budget to do a few things here and there. And you're supposed to get nominations from them or recommendations. So if I'm one of those delegates and I'm paid by you, and someone else from out is coming to get my nomination, if I still want my job, I'm not going to put my name on that. And then on top of that, these regional FAs and and the delegates as well, of course, all the delegates have an opportunity. That's another credit to you and the bigger budget, to be honest, that you have to send different delegates with national teams, underage, women. That's an opportunity. So each of the delegates perhaps gets a chance to travel with the team, and that comes with some good perks as well. So that delegate has absolutely no incentive to back anyone else from out, because you're a source of livelihood, and they can count on you. I mean, 1 million stipend every month, then plus all other things that come in there. And then, like you said, it's true, in FUFA alone, there are many people who qualify who are eligible for this. But a big story has happened for all the last elections, that ambitions are punishable. If you show too much ambition, you'll pay for it, especially because if you put your name on the line and the FUFA president gets to know, oh, you're backing this one, then you're out. So literally, they just stick in there, in that closed group, and at the end of the day, it's only you at the end who comes out. Now, you might deliver here and there because you have the budget, you have the capacity, you have the team, but if there is no safe place of where people can say, okay, I qualify, I'm eligible, I want to contest against you, it's tough. So most of them just let you be, to wait for that time, like you said, like a Hayat, you wait for the time when things are ripe, and then you come through. So for me, that's not a healthy place. Yes, for as long as you are an incumbent and you want to stay, you will stay. But that open space of, yes, it's closed inside there, but inside there, can there be healthy competition whereby it's not designed to lock out ideas or to intimidate, but to embrace ideas, and the best person wins in that closed group?
A number of issues there. I don't know where to begin. But to start with, you should have also been analytical that for you to become a delegate, you must be belonging or owning a football club. I think that information for the viewer and listener is important. And the people who own these clubs, incidentally, everybody is free. Even you're free to own a football club. There is no limitation at that point of entry, because this closed clan we are talking about, how do you enter it? The entry route is an open door. If you own or belong to a football club.
Oh, okay. Belong, not all 88 own clubs.
No. If you own or belong to a football club, some clubs are owned by institutions. I'm sure a chairman of URA does not own a club, but belongs to a club.
I got you, yeah.
So the whole message is that it is an open door. Call it closed, but also open. That if I'm a man on the street and I want to become a FUFA president because I have ideas, I have all the things, the door is open. It's just a process. That look, get into a club or start up a club, and not these people we talk about calling them delegates. These people spend their personal money. Uganda has about 1,000 football clubs. Forget about the 16 Premier League like everybody looks at. At the end of the day, we have over 1,000 football clubs across the whole country. That's why there's football in almost a village in this country. Now, these people spend their personal money. People forget this. Running a football club, even at the lowest level, like a 4th division, for a season, you will not spend less than 10 million shillings in the minimum scenario. So where do these people get the money? They sell their maize. They get money which is supposed to be school fees for the children. Nobody ever thinks about that. At the end of the day, we want to wait for them and say, you guys, you don't understand what you're doing. No, these guys understand what they're doing. They see what FUFA is doing to get down to where they belong. When I came into office, every region was getting $1 million shillings. Today, every region is getting 25 million shillings. You know, so the person who is down there, you are saying we are giving them the money, but it is indeed true. We are getting money from FIFA. Does that mean that there is no competition in FIFA? it is our right. Secondly, if it is true that these delegates, as we talk about them, they are paid all these things, right, but there is an election always before the election of the president. It's not that once you're a delegate, you are always a delegate. They also go through an election. And this election, when it takes place, if I want to change this whole status quo, I'm now assuming I want to change the status quo like you're saying, then have the delegates come from down there, replace the ones who are there, because those delegates are not born and constant as delegates. They are only voted from all over the 1,000 clubs officials that exist. Then the other thing also, which is true, is that let's look at FIFA. People forget that the statutes of FUFA are almost a reprint of the FIFA statutes. They're only scaled. If we're going to elect the FIFA president, he's supposed to be nominated by 5 members. For us, it is 3. So at the end of the day, nobody is looking at this as a mirror of what happens up. Even for you to become a CAF president, the number of federations that are supposed to, it is the theory of how sports, football governance was created very many years before Moses came into office. It is also true that nobody stops anybody. By the way, we have very good debate, very serious debate internally. And that is what people don't get to understand. I have so many times had ideas that I would want to see happen, and I've failed to make them through because of the internal debate that we have. And what makes us strong has been the acceptance that we get a lot of internal debate. We also engage stakeholders. At all times, you'll see us going out to speak to stakeholders. For example, this year, we went through all the 8 regions, sat down, and we get criticized. One tactic we have used that people don't get to appreciate is that we have allowed criticism, even internally, and out of this criticism, we come back with solutions. There are so many things that we have been criticized and we have come back with changes. So the people who vote, at the end of the day, they will look at, okay, if I own a football club, what do I expect to get? Where is the federation? Which direction? And like you've also said, the number of positives. Why are we ignoring the fact that in my leadership, there have been so many positives? So why do you want a voter to vote something else when there have been positives that you yourself you are accepting that this is a credit, this is a credit, this is a credit? Of course there are challenges, like any other organizations. So there are going to be challenges. But then the whole idea is that the people who have wanted always to become the ones with the passion and the will do not have what it takes. Because if you want to be a president, if I wanted to be a president of the federation, I would not wake up and say, okay, I want to be. I would not go in front of a camera and I cry that I have been, you want to run an institution as big as FUFA? We have built FUFA from, to what it is today. If you want to run it, then be worth it. Plan for it. Take years for you to be able to get there. Why are you coming in a week or 2 and say, I want to be president? You are in a class teaching. And then they say, the deadline is today. You run to submit your papers. Is that my fault as a candidate? It's going to be my fault. Plan. And 2, these clubs are there. There is nobody, there's a rule that we have always been accused of, that we hide, like you say, we hide the delegates. That's not true at all. Because we have 34 members, sincerely speaking. If you don't even get one, these people don't even get one, or sometimes get one and cannot even get the second one. If you can't get out of the 34 members, how can that be the fault? Why don't we look at it and think it's the popularity of the president? Because, and then one thing I don't want also to agree with you is to say that the electioneering at FUFA is the mirror of the country politics, is because in the country politics there are always candidates coming up. Maybe why don't you liken us to where we look like? That our elections are like FIFA, are like a CAF. Because that's the industry, the comparison would be right. But now when you're going to compare Maradona and Michael Jackson with
Okay, let's bring Clive in.
I love both.
I also love both. I don't want to lose the point. I don't want to lose the point. You said
Maradona is better than Michael Jackson.
If the delegates are corrupted or compromised, why not vote them out and bring new ones? And then a story is told
A short story. And
A very, yeah, a very short story. That as the president of FUFA, all these guys, I mean, you know them, you know what they do, where they stay.
But they also know me.
Yeah, they also know you. So you get, just like the head of state, he's even when he's even when he's campaigning, he says we are implementing. So the campaign starts immediately when the new term starts, and there's no issue. So it's the same with you. So these delegates who wants to you normally meet them one at a time, and you tell them, you ask them if they are coming back, and if the answer is yes, you are going to support them, and then you request their loyalty and commitment to support you as well. And for you have all your signatures long before anyone else thinks about that.
And he has his ex-com formed.
And ex-com.
Yeah.
So you are like 100 meters, the rest of us are on get set, you are negotiating the final 10 meters. So still, it's hard to take the delegates out because they are your loyalists.
What would be the alternative?
The alternative is make the basics in terms of qualifications. Things whereby you see compromise, like the delegates that are already on your, you know, your payroll. Make it seem like everyone is welcome, there's no intimidation. Ambition should be rewarded by a safe place where people compete, not punished by perhaps threats. So deploying someone against that delegate so that they don't win. Because for me, Mr. President, like I picked out some, your positives. Wouldn't you be happy if someone who is very capable came out and you challenged them with your facts, and everyone saw there's debate, there's competition, and you actually beat that person? Isn't it more fulfilling?
I would love to. The challenge is that I cannot create it. It's not within my means.
Okay, let's
But you're
bring
blocking
Clive in.
it.
Clive is in New York, as you might be aware. Clive, I'm sure you have a question.
Poor network.
For if the network is not great.
I've been celebrating how fraudulent the network in New York is.
Clive Chaze, do we have him online?
Okay.
Okay, maybe I have a few. Okay, you have
There's something before you go to that, and we've gone through a lot with the election. We can't seem, however hard we punch, we can't seem to push you through the wall with the process, because the perception of many people outside there, the perception of many people outside there is that the process is rigged. And I don't know what you as an individual can do to change it. The perception is that it's rigged. But for me, also the question, and that I'd love to ask, you've been here 12 years. What new idea is going to come out of that? Because I was reading some part of the document, it has the 6 pillars that you want to concentrate on. And I'm thinking, none of them is very new. Maybe they are just additions. What is it that after 12 years, someone sits back and says,
I want to tell you...
What are those things that you want to do that you haven't done?
No, I want to tell you why they are new, and you'll do the comparative. First of all, start from the word of perception. Perception is not a fact. We know very well that perception is a creation. So the good thing, you have analyzed well and said it's a perception. Now the people who vote inside the FUFA actually use the facts. The people who commented,
they do?
Yeah, they use facts.
Really?
Because there's everything evident for you. You have also mentioned the list, because they feel the game. They are the ones who feel the game. They are the ones who go to the kitchen. They are the ones who know where we have come from in 2013 to today, you know. So they use the facts to vote. But to get back to the question of the new ideas, one, in the area of sport, we have done so much, and I've said there are challenges, there are things that actually still need a lot of our energy. And in the area of sport, we're still challenged that we do not have some of the best players in some of the top leagues in the world. It's a challenge. Take it or leave it. We cannot have the national team compete with Senegal that has 65 players in the top 5 leagues, and the whole of the 25 countries, South and Central of Africa, have only 8 in the same rate. So we look at these statistics and say, wait a minute, there's something we are not doing right. So that's when we come out with a technical master plan. The technical master plan, I want to invite you to interest yourself. You realize that there are so many new things that we're actually introducing. How a player is identified. We have never as a country had a deliberate agenda of how talent is identified at the right age. And we are working with the FIFA. This FIFA program is a new addition, the one headed by Arsene Wenger, that a kid should be identified at a certain age. These are things we have not been thinking about. We bring under 17, you think these kids are actually young, but at the end of the day, they're actually old in as far as development for you to be able to compete in the top leagues in the world. So we are going back to the technical master plan to do mass, to do identification, but we also want to be deliberate in elite development, that this player, when he has been chosen and identified, what is the path? I can tell you that we do not have that path. The P1, the P7, the senior 4 of a professional footballer, in terms of content, in terms of the teachers, in terms of how he's prepared. We just have talented players that are doing well. I remember when we finished the under 17 qualifiers in Morocco, one of the comments by Arsene was that this player called James Bogre, if I was at Arsenal, if I was still at Arsenal, I would sign him direct. It is raw talent, but there are steps he has already missed. Now you can see the 17-year-old. Our belief is that this is a young boy, he has come out. By the time you expose him to the rest,
he's retired.
He's going to be, no, he missed classes.
He's already
you just
broken.
come and sit for P7, and then you have missed P5 and P6, you know, that's the challenge. That's new. The second thing we are doing with the technical master plan is that, I mean, in sport is the competitions. We have done the league, the UPL, the same way. We have done it over years, and I can tell that right now we need to move some boxes in this room, and you're going to see huge changes in as far as competitions in this country.
Because that top tier league is struggling. It's something you need.
On two fronts.
It's something we need to change.
On the sporting side, it is struggling, and you know the sporting side drives the business side. So if it's struggling because of the reasons that we are getting players, recycling them, bringing them at this level, you're not really bringing out the talent that has been developed for the modern game. In the past, it used to work, because the player would come from anywhere and he would be good. In the current modern game, it is very difficult if you are not identified at the right age and properly prepared. So we are not going to be able to finance this league. It is very, very expensive because it's not generating money. So we need to move boxes inside this room where the league is sitting to make sure that it makes commercial sense. It makes money. We have to find money for the league, and that's a new one. If you have read the book, like you're saying, we are saying one of the things we want to do is actually to make sure that we get money for club football. We have maybe solved partly the national team football funding. And
the government has been clear.
Maybe we have. And even some sponsors, when they come, you tell them we want the league, they say we want the national team. You know, so we need to get to a level of how we repackage this league in terms of a number of things, and there are going to be sweeping changes, that I guarantee you, to ensure that we make the league a place to be for anybody who wants to put money, for anybody who wants to watch a game. The same thing we want to do is also, we are hosting CHAN and AFCON. This is our baby.
No one is feeling the CHAN. The tournament is in 3 weeks.
That is another story. That's another story. But the fact is that as a federation, we went, we hunted, we delivered, and we have handed it over to government, and there are things that are supposed to be done, not 100% in the hands of the federation, but the fact is that there is so much we need to milk. We cannot just abandon this baby, because we are getting sporting facilities out of there. They're not yet done. So you cannot just abandon it and say, okay guys, I brought it, we have dumped it there. We want to milk. At the end of the day, even the mindset, the corporate world, the media, people have never watched. Some of you have been at these competitions. But how many people in the media have been at these competitions? Now we have brought it home for everybody to feel, to experience, to understand. How many fans have been at these competitions? Maybe. So for us, the bigger impact is that we have brought these competitions to turn around the mindset of the country and be like some of these countries.
President.
And then, maybe finally, he was asking about new changes. Some of the things we need to do is that we have done a lot of work in terms of engagement of what we call internal stakeholders. That's why you see there are no wars, there are no bittering, there are no within the internal members, but we still have a challenge with the external stakeholders. We know we have done well with government, but there's still a lot of work to be done. We still believe there's a lot we can get out of government more than what we are getting. We need 15 facilities of sports across the country. In all the towns, Mbarara, Kasese, there's still a challenge. We still need to engage. We still need to engage the media in this country for them to understand that actually this is our game. This is not a Magogo's game, for example. When you have issues with Magogo, leave him alone and protect the game. We still have work to do. We still have to pick up the sponsors. These are external stakeholders. How do you use the game for the benefit of your business? So this is the fourth area, and I don't think you have seen all these.
We have got to take a break, but we shall come back.
Sometimes it's going after the media, and that never gives us good taste.
Back from the break, you're still watching NTV Sport Knights. Thank you all for your messages. We are joined by Honorable Engineer Moses Magogo, who is the FUFA president, and I must say there are lots of questions and comments about the elections, but I think he has ably answered them, so I'm not going to read any more questions about that. But there is a question here about the spectators in the stadium, the number, and you did hint on that a little bit, and then also someone who has also talked about the Masaza Cup having lots and lots of numbers as compared to the league.
We must understand, and actually Dakar put it correctly. Ismail put it correctly, that perception is what we buy. I'm a student of marketing. What you sell in the minds of the buyers is what they pay for. And now, take it or leave it. In this part of the world where we live, in Uganda, nothing goes wrong as far as the kingdom is concerned. Any program. So, Masaza is guaranteed positive media. Whether anything goes wrong,
and the birthday run, and
yes, and we are aware that they are, from football, have been part of the solutions. There have been very wrong things around Masaza, and as a federation, we are invited by the Katikilo to try and address these issues, and we have addressed some of them. There was very wrong refereeing issues and all these things, determining which teams must play in the finals and all this before the competition begins. But the Masaza will get positive media. And media is a key influencer in as far as creating perception of the buyers. But we have also not done ourselves justice as a league, as club football, for us to do that. And this is why I'm saying that we need to move a bit of boxes inside here. That so the comparison is wrong once again. That here is a competition. It is geographical, it is identity, it's culture, so everybody has a reason, nothing goes wrong. Now come here to the professional league, it's a business. At the end of the day, this is a business. But we have things that we have to look at. Every league in the world has some 2, 3, sometimes 4 clubs that make a league. In Uganda today, our key driving brands as far as the league is concerned should be Sports Club Vita, Express. Particularly, and then KCC, okay, Little Vipers. Maybe these 4 clubs should be the ones driving, because even in the best leagues in the world, talk about La Liga, it's only 2 clubs taking almost 50% of the rights of what is sold, and the rest take the balance. But these 2 drive the sales. So is Tanzania, so is any country you go to. Now here, we have had a challenge that the stunted processes in Express, in Sports Club Vita, I mean, they take down, and the day these clubs come on the pitch and compete, even with a little bit of competition, you see the numbers around the league actually growing. So for me, the comparison, right and wrong, right that we have not done certain things right, and that's what we need to address as far as the league, as far as the clubs are concerned. But at the same time, we give Masaza credit for what they have done, but most importantly, nothing goes wrong. So for me, the comparison might not give you the best answers.
Yes, President, you have talked about moving boxes in the league and the technical master plan. And I remember I was sharing with a football agent some time back, and we were talking about why our players don't really make it out there in the international market, and mostly when they go, they actually do not last there. So we were really trying to ask what goes wrong, what do they experience out there. And one of the points we talked of is our branding. How are we going to be branding our players for them to be that visible out there, to give them that market value? Yeah, starting from our leagues here, and since you're talking of moving boxes, what are some of those boxes you are going to include to make it different this time round?
You know, the first element of branding of a footballer is the football you play. Akapira ko, to start with.
Yeah.
That is the first beginning. You're not going to brand Andrew here and make him a player. He would love Manchester United to be doing better. Maybe they would sign him, but then have to match with the branding. You know?
That's relegation.
So, but on a very serious note, yeah. It is what I talked about in the technical aspect. They fail because they miss,
stages.
You look at Yamal today. Everybody talks about a senior-old who is doing very well. But how many years has he been under development? You think it's 2 years?
No.
1 year? Maybe. So you must identify talent at the right age. And they say research has shown that talent can only be visible between 9 and 11 years. That's when you start seeing that, hey, this might be a good footballer. So when you pick that player at that age, and that's what the technical master plan is saying, we must go and pick. After picking, then there is a process called development. Starting, what lessons do you give a 9-year-old? What kind of, in terms of the tactic, in terms of the technique, in terms of the physique, in terms of the psychology, what are you doing to this player to cook? So that by the time he's 16, we are going to the World Cup, and these players are picked up and they are taken to clubs, they will find that they are already on the path of development. So there is continuity in the clubs where they are going. But you'll find a very good Sadatanaku, raw talent, everything right, but he missed classes.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be, so the agent also is going to tell you what he knows. That's also the problem.
So let me ask, where are you picking the 9-year-olds? Since I have a 9-year-old at home.
Is it? It's a valid question. If you follow with the technical master plan, what we have done, we have trained people across the country such that wherever there is a group of children, we want to have somebody technical who knows what because even identifying is not what you see. You must be technical to identify.
That's the team of Brian Omonya and Bashir?
Yes, it is a bigger team. Actually, it's headed by Joram Katende now.
Okay.
That we have trained people to make sure that almost in every village, we have somebody who has a basic understanding. Now, when we have also done a software that these people, when they see a young boy, they will enter the basics of this boy into a software. It's an online system. And then there will be a higher level of people to look at. Then they go down doing clinics. They say, hey, we got these boys, there are these boys we got in this area of Tororo. Then they'll come to Tororo and they look at these kids and then they see, maybe you saw very well, maybe you didn't see very well. At the age of 9 and 11, that's what we are targeting. Then those ones will eventually be picked up into a whole academic structure, which is a different story we have created in that technical master plan. And then we are also creating a national football academy eventually at the top, whereby the best from the best from the best through the processes are regularly brought together, and we get the best experts that can train these players. So we believe with this path, it's going to be difficult to miss out a talent. Your son or your daughter is going to be captured by that process.
So when are these clinics and when do people get to know about them?
No, they're ongoing. You don't know. It's not about you knowing about them. It's not about you bringing your kid. That's where we have been getting wrong. Because you want your kid to play football. We are looking for a talented kid. We are not looking for a kid whose parent is willing the kid to play football.
So in short, they are asking, where can they Kwetega?
Hey, we want to Kwetega.
That's a good one. But for us, when we roll out, because the program is only 25% rolled out. When we roll out, actually we want to increase on mass engagement of children in school, wherever there's a community of children. And in that community, we want to ensure that there is somebody who has the ability to recognize talent. And they will tip us that, by the way, here in Impumude, there are kids playing, but there is this kid. So let the kids play. Actually, according to Hassan, you cannot identify talent without allowing the kids to play. First, allow them to play. In that process of playing, wherever there is a group, we want to make sure that we have an eye, and we have trained so many people across the country. We want to have somebody with an eye who has access to our system. He will log in with a username and password and say, there is a kid I've identified in this place. Now, our team does not announce. It goes for only those kids that have been actually identified. Those are the ones they take into a clinic and again have another look. And then other kids pick.
This program should start in Bugweri, because when I move around I see kids who can play.
No, first of all, become a what do they call them? No, a scout.
Yeah.
Grade 4 is the lowest. They actually graded up to grade 1. So grade 4, become a grade 4 scout, so that you have access to our system. That when you see, you report. What we want to do is to train you and say what you are looking for in a 9-year, 11-year-old is this. The moment you go through that process of training, now we are sure this is Ismail in Bugweri. When you say kid, get into the system, enter the details of the kid. Then our team at now a higher level, that's the grade 3, will start doing the clinics and look at this one and say, actually you were right, this kid is right. Then will be taken up on the higher level.
Mr. President, back
Isn't
to
that new, Ismail? Isn't that new?
I haven't seen it before. I've been around football, but I've not seen that.
No, I said in the book.
new.
It's right in the book. You said
It's
there was
very
nothing
new.
in the book.
I need to keep a
Mr.
copy.
President, I want us to go back to the club football. One of the things that really disappoints me much is how spineless our clubs are, including the traditional so-called big ones. Most of them, even when they believe what they want to do or what they are doing or challenging is right, somehow when they come before you, they wobble and get back into order. Yet leagues win when they are strong, and being strong doesn't mean they should defy you. It means they should stand for what is right. Offline, you speak to these club bosses and the things they are telling you are completely different from what they say on camera, because they know they are being watched by FUFA.
We must be intimidating, eh?
They must.
And you can imagine,
Such intimidation.
club chairmen every quarter meet the FUFA president.
Yes.
And the things they tell the media on the side are not exactly what they present when they meet him.
So one of the biggest problems is the clubs. You know, you can be the OKCCA is strong, Villa is strong. In the media perception, they are strong. But they are very weak, especially when they come before you and FUFA. And sometimes they forget the struggle of championing rights because they just want to be in there and not challenge. And like I said, challenging doesn't mean you don't respect someone. You can. Now, in terms of the brand of the league, you always tell us, the press, to protect the brand. And sometimes the things FUFA do actually do not seem to protect the brand. I understand where, for example, Cranes Namtima comes in. You have a program with the sponsors, you want to take the players to go and meet people in the villages and all that stuff. But that interferes with the fixture list. Sometimes the league is on and then you have to stop for Cranes Namtima, or you have to stop for the regional football as well. How do you balance the two? Protecting the brand of the league, ensure that there's consistency and predictability in terms of the fixtures, and also championing what you want to champion. How do you do that? Because to me, you're disrupting the flow of the league.
Andrew, if you have been following, yes, that has happened. But we are not saying as a federation we are 100% perfect. We have also to work. And I've been weeping my people to say, guys, we have to work. But I think in the recent past, if you notice, we have been fighting so much on the calendar that there hasn't been such disruptions. What you call a disruption is a planned stoppage. That when we do the calendar for the year, we give periods and say this is when the league is going to be taking place. Then there's this program coming in, then there's this program coming in. I think in the last 2 or 3 years, we haven't had those abrupt disruptions in the league. And don't say the clubs are timid when they come before us. They have raised this issue. The same issue you are raising here, they have raised it. The federation has picked it, and UPL, and we have generated a solution. As we speak today, the disruptions, you remember sometimes they will say the national team has gone for friendly in Cameroon. I think you had I don't think you have heard that, about that. We said, okay, let us concentrate to make sure the national team friendly games are within the window. Okay?
International window.
In the international windows. So, and even when we do the number team as we talk about, we have now scheduled them normally at the beginning of, if you notice, you may not have, at the beginning of the international windows, so that as the international players are coming in, these ones who are local take a benefit that the league has stopped, so we don't get a disruption. What we have done is actually to improve on coexistence in that area, and clubs made this noise or stood for these rights, and we have listened as a federation, and indeed there's nothing wrong with it.
Do clubs also tell you, because there's something they've shared, they also tell you that FUFA use their numbers, the thing you're saying here, 1,000 football clubs. FUFA use our numbers to get money from government, then don't give us a share of that money. Are clubs also complaining about that, that you should give them more money since you present them as part of what you're doing?
No, that is wrong. And when we come into meetings, that issue has been presented. So don't say clubs are intimidated. They have. Because we have a very honest discussion, sincerely speaking. But sometimes you wish, but the wish is not practical. There is a way, and until I got into, to throw myself into the line of the politics to understand, there is a way government works, and until you understand how it works, you will be on the streets complaining about so many things. Today I see people complaining about certain things, and I'm like, okay, I think I was in that space as well. There is a way government works, sincerely speaking. The money that comes to the federation has nothing to do with the clubs, has nothing to do with the numbers. It has everything to do with the national team. Because it is flag Uganda, it is national anthem in Uganda, it is people representing Uganda. And
can you now present their case too, as you're presenting the national teams?
But you said you didn't say something new in the book.
We have got to end it there, unfortunately. But thank you. I think we need 2 hours.
Wait a minute. You mean we're ending the interview?
Yes, we have to.
We haven't even asked him about his attacks on the media. Yeah, because the other day he accused the media of bachigato abalwanyi omupiira, and
you want me
for someone who came from the media, you must be ashamed to make a statement like that.
No, not
because you used to be on radio many years ago.
No, not ashamed. Because
to accuse the media, no,
and I didn't accuse the media. I chose the individuals who happened coincidentally to be belonging to the media. Because there are very many people in the media who are doing a very good job. Sincerely, I cannot say, I was very categoric. I said there is a hit gang of about 10 people, when the objective has nothing to do with the...
Do we have some of them here?
It is, let me see, no.
Oh my God.
No, on a serious note, on a serious case, it's not. We as a federation have no problem with criticism. I want to say that clearly and repeat it. We learn a lot from
But Mr. President, that's not the case on X. On X, you are completely allergic to criticism.
Me?
To the point that FUFA, to the point that sometimes your handle mistakenly responds like some guy who is in charge of it illegally. So perhaps you also need to tell
maybe you also need to tell your handlers or yourself,
because clearly
or manage your fingers.
They are personal sometimes.
Let's be categorical. There's a question he raised, and it's a very important one. I don't want to be branded as this guy who doesn't like or he hits at the media. I speak my mind and I say, guys, look, where we have gotten wrong, let us take the stick. You will never see me raise my head where we have gone wrong. But where a perception is being built over something that's incorrect, we have also a right to stand up and say, hey. And when it becomes the routine of a certain individual to always distort and angle, you know, then you qualify to be on the hit list by yourself. But to be more specific about the social media is something out
too
there.
Much power.
You know, no. It gives everybody powers. I mean, if you're talking about what I post, what about what others post about us or about me? Everybody has the right to tell you a thief, you are this.
You're supposed to take a higher ground.
In that jungle called social media, when you go there, dance. The dance which is there. I mean, I'm not saying like as a president, I should not respect people by virtue of the position I'm holding. And I try to, when I get time, and I see you are interested in debate, I take on people in terms of debate, for those that can debate. and that is it. But the social media is really a jungle. Everybody comes in and will throw in whatever unresearched, you know, uncouth.
Okay. President, can you come again in the next, I don't know, maybe 6 months,
back, and
we talk. Andrew, no,
it's not midnight.
Okay, let's continue.
Yeah. We should continue. For example,
maybe you can continue with some of the feedback.
Mr. President, Chan, are you fully in?
What do you mean? Are you and fully? What do you mean?
Are you fully? Do you feel it yourself?
There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and there are so many challenges that we are trying to overcome. But the reality is, I'm not in a happy place to say this is where we should be in as far as Chan is concerned. Despite the challenges we have gone through, and I wish we were in a better place than where we were. I've given my best to make sure we're in a better place, but sometimes you're limited by.
What are the things that you're unhappy about?
No, by now, my understanding is that we should have been in February, we should have hosted this competition and dusted it in February. By giving us 6 months, we should have done a lot better that by now, in every bedroom, and I mean, this is a one-off. Look at a country like Morocco. In all its history, they have hosted AFCON once. This is going to be the second time. So I'm not even very sure if in my lifetime we will get ever this opportunity of hosting Africa here. There are 54 countries all fighting to host. So we have a very huge opportunity in our hands. But I mean, us as football, and I'll be very categorical, we understand the magnitude and the value of what this brings. But we have to work with, because you don't host AFCON and Chan as a federation. You have to bring in government. And the people at government understand completely different things. They understand it different. They can think, they think it's an event, like maybe a G7, which I mean brings in very many presidents. But football, you are involving masses. You can bring here 77 presidents and host them and put them in the hotel, and life goes on. And we have done those events very well. But when it comes to football, you're even affecting everybody in Pakwachi, in Iguru. So I don't think that they have understood this part of the game. So they continue operating, and not wrongly, in the speed of government, you know, in terms of projects. But football moves faster than that. So decision making and then going forward, everything goes slow. You know, we are doing this. From December, there's a document I wrote in December saying, guys, we need 1, 2, 3 from experience. I've been at AFCON, I'm in CAF. Now, all the things I said in December, they have just been implemented now, 7 months later, still because of the bureaucracies around the government. And you don't fault people, it is the bureaucracies, that's how government works. But for football, if you follow that route, and we thank the president, sincerely, His Excellency the President, because he has removed some tips to say, guys, no, we need to move.
You are about to forget that.
No, I have to, because the reality.
It's very important to thank the president.
It is very important because the fact. And I'm not going to shy away from the fact.
Ugandans, it's home. Chan. And you are saying it could be, of course, AFCON is coming once in a lifetime. And we know you have to pay for the product like you always preach. But now it's home for Ugandans. How affordable is it going to be?
We want to make it very affordable. Trust me, the debate is to make it as affordable as it can get. So
for the Kirasha person?
For everybody. Okay. For everybody. We want, because in the interest in the interest that we have not done as much marketing and as much advertising, then we must match it up with making the tickets as affordable.
And the experience was good.
Actually, by now Ugandans should be in the know of how much they're supposed to pay.
Where they should buy the tickets.
That is what I'm saying, that the speed of football and the demands of football and the way football is structured, putting it together with the government processes and system, sometimes
I feel you.
It sometimes must be very hard, because when you go out to the street, and it doesn't help that the people on this show, especially Andrew and I, have been to these events. And football events are not for football, they are for everyone. You walk into a street and everyone else is into, at least everyone has a flag or something. And now here we have a tournament. People should have at least Uganda flag somewhere, and they are having them because of a tournament.
And the viewers, the beauty is that for us, Chan is the rehearsal of AFCON. I'm sure there are lessons that are being learned in very many areas. There are so many lessons that have been learned. For those that have not understood, that initially had not understood how it is done, there are lessons, and I'm sure AFCON, I'm very sure that if we pull off Chan the way we have planned it, AFCON is going to be a much, much better event.
Okay, a question here, a couple of questions about prize money. Someone is also asking about match fixing. Any comments on that? And then again, still more questions about the elections. Yes, but prize money maybe.
Of what?
Prize money of the
Premier League.
The league.
The league.
You're giving too little.
When I said, no, it's not about giving, it's about the league making that money. Until the league makes that money, it becomes we are not going to get it from a tree. We must make it to give it. But when I say we are going to move boxes in the league, I think it's going to be fundamental. And as well, prize monies are going to be some of the changes that we're going to make. But we are going to be able to do it because of the boxes we are going to move.
And then match fixing.
Of course, match fixing is a vice. And as a federation, I want to guarantee you that we have done our best efforts in terms of advocating for the Sports Act, which also controls the parties that are not part of football. Remember, you could some of the engineers of these things are not part of football. So our regulations were too weak to do anything. We have now been able to do a law which makes it illegal, and we have taken through first of all, the first place, we needed the police to understand. We have gone through with the CID, through a number of workshops. Now they're on board. From there, we have gone to the office of the DPP. At the moment, that's what we have gone through. Now they have also come on board. The next thing is supposed to be on the side of the judiciary, because until that whole path is gotten, that's the only long arm that you can do. We preach and say, guys, we will ban you from football, but I could be a guy on the street. And there are certain cases that are still under investigations. I'm very proud that we are using one case that I will not mention for purposes of not interfering with the investigations, that is giving us so much clue, and it's going through the whole phase. And there's a lot of information that is eventually unearthing, that at the right time, this information will be shared. Who are the players, who did what, and maybe when we shame and name and use the long arm of the law and use the ban, that's the only way you can fight it. And I think the federation has tried, and we even put in place an amnesty, for example, and said players, because some players had been taken hostage, and say, hey, you remember what you did? If you do this, then that happens. But we have gotten some players to come out and say, guys, this is the information, and this is being collected and analyzed, and investigations will be concluded.
And maybe at the same time, when you're talking to DPP and police, you need to tell them about sometimes the violence in stadiums. I've never been comfortable going to a stadium, then there is a fight, then police come and throw a few tear gas canisters and we run away, and that's it. People who are throwing stones should be arrested and jailed, because there is no intention of watching football if you've come to injure someone else. That makes sense.
But you know that through the Sports Act, there were express funds. So eventually, the long arm of the law picked them from home into prison, into court. I mean, that's the best we can do, sincerely speaking. And if you can notice, there is a reduced violence in the stadiums.
No, people are less violent. Only Gen Z are violent across the border.
Gen Zs.
But
no, but there is reduced. I mean, we came in with the issue of docking points, which was not very popular.
Yeah.
Now clubs understand.
Even fining money also not very popular.
It's not popular, but if you saw the game against the KCC Vipers, there were a few, if you noticed, there were a few bottles out of frustration of the KCC side. But you see themselves policing themselves, the fans. Say, guys, look, things can happen here. If they can happen to Villa, the club where the president belongs, then who are we as KCC?
But President, some of
Better, which club does Hussein support? Which club does Hussein support locally?
Bright Stars, they were relegated.
I don't know. When you find him, ask him.
President, briefly, some of these violences have been a result of those concerns about officiating and refereeing. How are you planning to address that?
Again, in the technical master plan, there is also identifying referees and training them, coaches, referees, and players. It's a whole thing. But at the end of the day, it's one of the weakest reasons you can ever give as a football fan is getting violent because of a referee's decision. It's one of the weakest. And anybody who comes out to say that justify violence, because we have seen the worst refereeing decisions in the World Cup, in the highest competitions, even where there's VR. So for me, it should not happen. And we should improve on refereeing. We should do everything to improve and make sure we deliver good decisions. But it's not a reason enough to cause violence and hurt somebody
Maybe I
else.
have a last question. Mr. President, the technical master plan. Are you staying until everything is complete, or someone else can complete the job?
But there are things, that technical master plan will give you results probably 15, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Will you still
Do you
be
still
FUFA
see yourself
president?
around?
I don't have to be. There are so many things we have done that are selfless. At the end of the day, I don't have to be, and that is the principle. If I wanted to do things that make me the guy around, I know what to do. I really know things to do to turn around, and the media will be singing, this is the guy. I know,
are you going
but
for
I've
the
decided
fifth-
not to.
are you going
The
for the
question is very simple. When are you leaving?
Are you going for the fifth term after this?
Well, I don't know. For me, it is not the point now. I have a mandate of 4 years. Let me deliver.
The people will
and if you
decide.
look at it, for me, for every mandate, there's something I've given my satisfaction to have achieved. You get it? I mean, the first mandate, we removed the monkey of the Africa Cup of Nations off the back. You get it? In the second mandate, we've been able to bring the, I think we were able to bring the money to the national team. For us, which is another game changer. In the third mandate, we have done the, we have improved now revenue generation with the media, with the TV we have created, and also the law itself, and then the beginning of infrastructure. So for us now, the fourth term, we are looking at how do we bring the game, money to the game. So there are milestones. So at the end of the day, for me, I want that day when I'll be in the watching Uganda probably win the World Cup, and I'm like, I made a contribution to this.
You haven't given us a right forecast.
Okay, do
2020.
you believe there are people who are as good to take the game forward?
Even better.
Okay.
Okay,
Even better.
let's end that. Isma, as we go, just one word on the Rugby Africa Cup, which is beginning tomorrow.
I might sound like an official from the Uganda Rugby Union
The
because
good
I'm
thing
going
is you
to,
have little time.
I'm going to make an appeal to Ugandans to show up at Nambole tomorrow. Uganda is playing the Rugby Africa Cup tournament, which is a qualifier for the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia.
Yeah.
Unseen in my time covering the game, and ever since Uganda was admitted into the international rugby family in 1995, the team that wins at Nambole will go to the World Cup. So Uganda play tomorrow at 4 p.m. against Kenya. Uganda must win that game, which is a quarter-final. Then they play a semi-final on Sunday. Then thereafter, there is a final next Saturday. If Uganda win, Uganda will be in the World Cup for the very first time. It's going to be very, very hard because there are teams that are ranked higher, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and even Kenya over the past few years have beaten Uganda on a few occasions. So it's a huge one. There hasn't been an opportunity like this. Uganda has been in qualifiers for the World Cup when the process has been you beat this one, then go here, then go into a qualifier. The last time there was a Rugby World Cup qualifier, it was even in France. Remember, and teams are together there. So there has never been a shortcut like this for a team to get the World Cup. And thereafter, World Rugby, because they are aware that teams at this level are not good enough to compete with South Africa, New Zealand, and all the other bigger countries, you're going to have 2 years where World Rugby will put you on a program to improve your players so that you can be able to show up in Australia and you don't look like you're going to lose 100 to 10.
Yeah.
Like his master plan.
Like
He's
going to he comes from a school that played a bit of rugby, a lot of rugby actually. Yeah. So he understands the margin between the top and the bottom. So after this, World Rugby is going to support these countries that over the next 2 years you have to be at a level where you can, you might show up and still lose to New Zealand 70 to 10, but without these 2 years of preparation, you're going to lose 120 to 0.
Okay.
So that's what World Rugby is trying to change.
Okay, we have got to end it here, but still.
No predictions.
No predictions.
No predictions,
Time is
yeah.
gone.
Producers are pissed off.
Time is gone. Clive hasn't said hi. I don't know if we can get him on.
And the man has not even asked his voters for votes.
Oh,
because in 10 days there is NRM primaries. Then
No, that will be
there's
on
an election in
NTV,
January.
on the spot.
On the spot.
On the
yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
But the predictions at least. Last time you gave us some.
Okay, predictions due to popular demand. PSG, I'll start with you, Mr. President. PSG versus Real Madrid.
1-2 Madrid.
PSG 2, Madrid 1.
PSG 3, Madrid 1.
2-1 PSG.
Do we have Clive or is his internet?
It must be downtown.
Clive.
Goodness.
Clive.
PSG versus Real. Are you talking to us, Clive, or someone else?
I'm here.
Okay, PSG versus Real Madrid.
Real Madrid 1-0.
Okay, I'll give this to PSG 2-1. Fluminense versus Chelsea.
3-1 Chelsea.
2-0 Chelsea.
Daniel?
1-0 Chelsea.
Fluminense 1-0.
Clive?
1-0 Fluminense.
I'll give this to Fluminense as well. Women Euros, England versus Netherlands.
England 2-0.
England 2, Netherlands 0.
Daniel?
Netherlands 1, England 0.
England 1-0.
Clive?
1-1.
Okay.
1-1.
I'll give this to England 1-0. Sweden versus Germany.
Germany. No, 2 Sweden, German 1.
Okay.
Copycat. Sweden 2, German 0.
Sweden 2-0.
1-0 Sweden.
I'll give this a draw. But Clive?
2-2.
Okay. WAFCON now. Zambia versus Senegal.
Zambia 2, Senegal 0. Zambia is doing well.
Yeah, they've done well in women's football. Zambia 2, Senegal 0.
I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
1-0 Zambia. Clive, we hear you go on.
2-0 Zambia.
Okay, I'll give this to Zambia as well. 2-1. And then Tanzania versus South Africa.
Tanzania 1, South Africa 3.
Tanzania 0, South Africa 3.
3-0 South Africa.
2-0 South Africa.
Clive?
0 South Africa.
I'll give this to South Africa 2-0. Clive, you're laughing. Any final word from you as we end the show?
No, apart from wishing you guys a blessed week.
Oh, okay then. Thank you to everyone, and we have seen your guest, but President Bidu, you come back again. Thank you very much. This is NTV Sport Knights. The discussion continues on Twitter. You have yourselves a good night. Thank you.